bear with me. I'm not really used to public speaking. Right. So when asked to talk about Soho, there's so much you can say that, and there's but so little that you can say that hasn't been said before. I always think that Soho is very much like a little village. It's a square mile. It goes back so far. It goes back as far as it started to begin. I'd say from Charles II day, as far as, or even Henry VIII, the hunting cry, Soho, and then but it started to modernise around Charles II's time, and then around that time was a lady called Madame Corney who was responsible for members' clubs. Had it not been her, it would have been somebody else, but it was her, and she created a really beautiful, beautiful house and gave a monthly subscription that entitled you to run around naked and do whatever you wanted to do, providing you didn't get caught naked, if that's possible. And so that format has gone on through the centuries and centuries, and not much has changed. The characters haven't really changed. It's the fashions have, of course, but you find the same characters decade or century, I'd say, after century after century after decade after decade. And then it's the most beautiful, magical, mystical, tragic, beautiful place that there is. And if you need anything, even from a bag of ice to a load of tables, you've only got to run around a few corners, and before you know it, you've got a chippy building you a table, and you've got an Eskimo bringing you ice. It's a wonderful, wonderful place. I started in Soho about 20-odd years ago. I started working in the Shepherd Market in a tiny little restaurant called Tiddy Dolls. And I was interviewed by this... I did. And I did. I was interviewed by this waiter, or this head waiter, who said, all I need to do is learn how to glide. So I spent the whole weekend trying to glide. I wasn't very good at it. I was more bruised and battered. But from that day to this day, I've never needed to glide. Duck and dive, but certainly not glide. And so there's things you pick up along the way. And then after that, I worked in a place called the Atlantic, and yes, there we are, which taught me most of everything I know, which was a good foundations. And then that was a beautiful place. And in that building, there was a false ceiling and a false wall. And then when they ripped that off, the most beautiful Art Deco marble pillars were found. It's absolutely one of the most beautiful buildings in Soho. And then, and adjacent to that, I worked in a place called the Flamingo, which was like a disco bar. And around that time, it was really fashionable to start going out. Going out and drinking cocktails became fashionable again. It was the thing to do. Opening up a club that was impossible to get into was the thing to do as well. And to get into the club, even if you got into the club any other way apart from the front door, then it was even cooler. It was absolutely the thing to do. The Flamingo Bar was a great disco bar. I learned how to disco dance while carrying a tray above my head without spilling a drop. How I did that, I don't know. Actually, I probably did. I just probably think I didn't. But and then after that, I was brought to the Groucho Club by a gentleman called Dig Bradsell, who brought me to the Groucho Club. Wonderful, marvellous man. And I stayed there. I've been there for about 18 years, and then we've through discos and karaoke's and quizzes, and we've done everything that you could possibly do in a members club. So, is there any questions you want to ask me? I beg your pardon?
What did you do?
What did I do when? In what?
At Groucho.
What did I do at Groucho? Everything you don't do at home. Any other questions?
You showed us your disco moves.
I thought I was doing them already. I need a bit of music to show you the disco moves. But are there anything? Yes.
What's your most iconic kind of debauch story of the Groucho Club?
Turning up to work on time.
Very safe.
That's as debauched as I would say.
Did you ever do the Colony Groucho Shuffle?
Yes, the Colony. What a wonderful, wonderful place. The Colony Room, a wonderful green, beautiful place. And as I'm getting older, I think I'm turning into Muriel. I think because I'm getting older. I looked in the mirror the other day and I looked and thought, oh my God, it's But there we go. Yeah, I did. I climbed through that window many times.
And then explain to them what the window was.
There's a window. There's a room in the Groucho Club called the Mary Lou room, and it's where we have discos and where you have a private party. And there's a window. And if you open the window and you climb outside, there is an adjacent window, which belongs to the colony rooms, or what was the colony rooms. And you'd open that up, and you'd be in there. So people would actually go from to and fro all the time. Each.
There was the roof.
And then there was you climbed on. Sorry, that you climbed onto the roof, and then you walked across without laddering your tights or doing your shoes in, and then you climbed through the window, and then you were in the colony room, which was a marvelous, marvelous, marvelous place, which stayed open later than the Groucho. But there we go. Any other questions?
Yeah. Has anybody done it since the colony room closed?
I haven't seen anybody do it. No, I don't know. Have they? Have you?
Don't you think it's time you tried to get into
I'm going to do it tonight.
into that flat?
I'm going to do it tonight. But
See if the ghosts are still
I am going to. Well, there's definitely still there. There's probably somebody still trying to figure out how to get home. But yeah, definitely. Right. So, go on.
You've got a lot of relationships with all sorts of people in Soho. I'm not talking about celebrity. I'm talking about who's your favourite current Soho character.
There's.
If you had to select one.
If I had to select one, I can't select one. I can't. Paul Rowe, Marcus Love.
Why?
Why? Because they're colourful and they're basically naughty, brilliant, good. They're like a dot-to-dot colouring book. They're brilliant, absolutely brilliant. They're also like a cryptic crossword as well. They're very much like that. And then there's Johnny Beach, and then there's Dan Lywood. There's loads to name a few. Jess Draper, McElroy, so many to name a few. To name, there's a lot, so many.
If someone had an hour in Soho, what would you tell them to do in that hour?
I'd get them a taxi. I'd get them the first one. I'd get them way out of town. I'd get them a taxi and say, run the other way. Run as fast as you can. Or take them out. Any other questions? I can't see you.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
How has it changed in the last 10 years for you?
It hasn't. Yeah, it really hasn't changed. I mean, I think when you've been somewhere for so long, it doesn't really change. You just get used to being, and you change with it. I think it's pretty much on par with. I mean, it would never be what it was like, say, 10, 15. Thank God, 15 years ago. But I don't think there's much difference now. It's just basically you see things through rose-coloured romantic glasses, and you think it was better. I mean, was it really so good? Was it? It's probably any night or any club is as good as you make it on the night. So it's as good as it was then.
But don't you think, Bernie, that 20 years ago, when there was still all the little delicatessens all over, and Berwick Street was before it became destroyed and rebuilt, and there was still a vibrant market there every day where you could buy amazing vegetables.
There were.
And that kind of thing.
There was a tiny little haberdashery shop that closed down. That really upset me. That really was, but things change, and you can't fight it. I mean, you can try your hardest, but you're not gonna. So you've got to sort of go with it as much as you can, and you not be happy about it, but you can still keep that inner nutty monster alive. And be joyous that there's still a few of us around that understand what it is and teach the young'uns what it is. Teach the nippers. Go with the flow. Flow's great. Go with the flow.
If you could work at Groucho's, where would you be?
Oh, God. Soho House? No, I don't think they'd take me. Where would I be? I'd be in Ibiza. Huh? I'm going to be, in about a month. No, in about 2 weeks. I'll be there for a month. But I'll be back. I'll be back. So that's where I'd be. I'd be in Ibiza.
So how does Bernie relax in Soho when you're not working?
I watch Emmerdale Farm. I do. It's a racy little village from one village to the next. Just more trees. Okay, so... I think that's it. If any more questions, that's about. I've got to go back to work. I've got lives to save. Thank you very much.